So if you haven't seen Regular Show, it's this really clever little animated series that aired on Cartoon Network back in 2010. It's about a bird and a raccoon, Mordecai and Rigby, who run into really mundane problems at the park they work at that turn into these supernatural type adventures by the end of the episode. Like for example, there's an episode where Mordecai and Rigby start asking each other to do me a solid.
Do me a solid and turn this comic book page. Do me a solid and fluff this cushion.
Sharpen my pencil.
Fold these socks.
Cheese these nachos.
This episode teaches us that no matter what it is, a solid has to be completed, right? However, there's a point in the episode where Rigby asks Mordecai to do him a solid that Mordecai knows will embarrass him in front of his crush. Mordecai keeps rejecting the solid until finally we find out that if you don't honor a solid, the fabric of space and time will start to tear, as foreshadowed by Skips.
You shouldn't abuse the power of the solid. Bad things will happen.
But besides the fun creativity of the show, Regular Show's writing really shines in its episode endings, but more specifically in its final battles. A lot of big blockbuster movies nowadays have really uninteresting endings to a lot of their finales. What I mean by that is a lot of times the main protagonist of the film will conquer their enemies in a very lucky, boring, and or lazily written way. For example, in Fantastic Beasts 2, the big fire dragon at the end is beaten by just having the characters all point their magic wands at it to shoot it with more fire. After a sufficient amount of wand pointing, the dragon goes down, no problem. Just recently in Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker, the final fight between Rey and Palpatine just had Rey deflecting back the lightning he was shooting at her. If Palpatine is all the Sith and she's all the Jedi, then why isn't their power equal? Also, if Palpatine knew that the lightning was going to come back at him, then why is he still shooting it as it's destroying him? Wonder Woman is another one where she wins the final battle just by being really powerful. It's like, how the hell are you blocking all this shit right now? She says it's the power of love or something, but that doesn't explain why she has all these new abilities. So yeah, in all these scenarios, there's a lack of tension due to the vague power levels of each character. It's as if the heroes win just because they're the heroes. The reason I mentioned Regular Show earlier is because a lot of their episodes have these big final battles, but the way the main protagonists conquer these antagonists is much more logical within the context of the story. Also, it's what inspired me to make this video. A great example of this is the arm wrestling episode. In this one, all the characters are having an arm wrestling contest. Skips is known as the best arm wrestler, but Rigby is able to beat him this time for some reason. Later in the episode, it's revealed that Rigby has been using a device called the Playco Arm Boy to cheat. Skips goes back and trains and challenges Rigby again, only this time revealing the arm boy and beating him. So he beats Rigby so bad that he kills him and has to arm wrestle death in order to bring him back to life. Now, watching this final arm wrestling fight would remind you of a lot of the previous examples that I just mentioned. There's this big power struggle with a bunch of flashy lights, but you're expecting Skips to win because it's the end of the episode. However, Skips doesn't win because he's the hero or because he trained really hard in that one montage. He wins because of this.
2 words. Playco Arm Boy.
As you can see, the writers used something vital to the episode that the viewers clearly understood up to this point to make the hero win in a more defined and satisfying way. Not all recent movies have this issue though. The Marvel movies are actually pretty good at their final battles, for the most part.
And prove to me you can beat me with that!
In The Winter Soldier, Captain America beats Bucky because he uses their prior personal connection to mess with his brainwashing.
Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky?
Gives them with you to the end of the line.
In Avengers, Iron Man's arc causes him to risk his life to save New York.
You're not the guy to make the sacrifice play, to lay down on a wire and let the other guy crawl over you.
I think I would just cut the wire.
In Iron Man 2, Iron Man and War Machine use the double shot to kill Whiplash.
Drop it, Tony! Take it!
Whether it be more of a character-driven or physical way, The fact of the matter is that the hero doesn't win just because they're the hero. There's always something that the protagonist learns throughout the story that leads to their victory. The Mandalorian is something even more recent that executes this idea really well. In most of the episodes, Mando receives some sort of item or weapon, kind of like in a video game, that he uses by the end of the episode, like with Baby Yoda and the Mudhorn at the end of episode 2. It's this type of writing that makes these final action scenes just a lot more exciting in general. Yes, you can have the hero beating up random goons, and they can win easily by doing that, but when it comes to the main villain, I feel like there should be a more tangible and logical way that the hero conquers them.